My name's Adam Manaka and I'm the Financial Controller for Hi-Tech Oils. With our national capacity, we can now service Australian companies nationwide. Of late, we have now expanded into the New Zealand market. Here at Hi-Tech Oils, we receive premium base oils and premium additive packs. Together, with our highly trained staff, we manufacture over 500 premium quality products. Hi-Tech Oils is Australian made and Australian owned.
Hello, I'm Lance Robertson. Welcome again to our Round 5 coverage of the 2017 Swann Super Series from Sydney Motorsport Park. Well, we've had some really entertaining racing from both the Superbike and Supersport categories. However, it's now time for our major support classes to step into the spotlight. First up, we have the Shock Treatment 400 Supersports, and these pint-sized pocket rockets have certainly been the most entertaining all season long. As we take a look at the points heading into Round 5, Max Croker remains the championship leader after a very strong showing last time out at Queensland Raceway. The gap between himself and second place Hunter Ford is 73 points, and the BC Performance Kawasaki of Yanni Shaw is a further 9 points adrift of Ford. Our top three protagonists have plenty to play for this weekend, and none of them will be giving up without a fight.
We're currently sitting in first, which is we've got a good championship lead at the minute. We've got a fair few points, and but I'm sure it's not going to be easy. I mean, there's some good riders here, but we've got the KTM set up very good from previous rounds and also testing. But I'm sure it's not going to be easy. But we've got a good championship lead.
I'm sitting in second behind Max, and then Yanni's in third, and it's kind of a bit of a jump. I just got to keep Yanni behind me for now. Don't really think I can gain the points to keep up, to get back up with Max.
Currently sitting P3, which is a pretty good position considering the year, and I think head down, bum up, and really focus on being smooth and consistent, and staying on Hunter and Max's tail, and trying to make them crack under the pressure, maybe force an error, and try and get up the points.
We'll pick up the action from race 2, but first, here are the highlights from the opening race of the day. As in previous races this year, Max Croker got an amazing start as the lights went out, but it was Keogh Watson at the rear of Shot who got it completely wrong when he pulled a wheelie off the line and landed hard. Meanwhile, back at the front, the Yamaha of Hunter Ford made Max Croker's life difficult right from the word go and snatched the lead down at Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days Turn 2. The Kawasaki of Yanni Shaw joined into the battle, nipping at the heels of the front pair for the majority of the 6-lap race. With the front three pulling away quickly, the attention then turned to the scrap for fourth between Dan Thomas, Ryan Sellen and Mitchell Kuhn. The trio would duke it out for the majority of the race, notably Thomas and Sellen, who swapped positions lap after lap. That was until Kuhn suffered mechanical failure halfway through lap 5 and retired from 6th spot, elevating the Yamaha of Shani Pinfold up the order. At the front of the field, Ford had cleared away to a 4-second gap over Croker and would claim his second win of the season ahead of a KTM rider, with Yanni Shaw finishing in 3rd place and the first Kawasaki home. Dan Thomas finished a well-deserved 4th ahead of the 5th place Kawasaki of Ryan Sellen. And this is how they line up for race 2. Hunter Ford is on pole with Max Croker and Yanni Shaw sharing the honours on the front row. Row 2 is Dan Thomas, Ryan Sellen and Shani Pinfold. Andrew Edzer, Alex Smith and Robert Penman will line up on the 3rd row, with Trent Thompson and the Burts of Greg and Brad on row 4. Row 5 has Lionel Bennett, Scott Chapman and Andy Stagg, with row 6 occupied by Zane Ford, Cameron Shaw and Nicholas Cargo. Mitchell Kuhn and Keogh Watson occupy the final row.
Will Hunter Ford get the whole shot? He's not that bad from the start. He's done a great job, but under a bit of pressure. Yanni Shaw on the inside. Ryan Sellen's there as well as they head out of turn number 1. And look at that, Dan Thomas right round the outside takes up the running in 3rd place.
Yeah, a great start there by Max Croker on his KTM 3 RC390, but looks like he's got a really good hole shot at the moment. Pulled a gap, but so fast in the race.
Yanni Shaw got the better of Dan Thomas down there in the braking area of Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days, turn number 2. Our front 2 runners, they've got a massive lead over the rest of the field, and we're not even a third of the way through the race, Tim.
Yeah, Hunter Ford, the race 1 winner, there's right on the tail now of Max Crocker, so it's excellent start by both those 2 riders.
Crocker, he's a real rocker at the start of this one. Heads up over the top of bikebiz.com.au into turn 6. Right on his heels is our race 1 winner, Hunter Ford. Yanni Shaw in 3rd place, quite comfortable at this stage, well, they're only halfway through lap 1 of 6. Right behind them, Dan Thomas. Ryan Sellen right behind him in 5th place.
Yeah, great start by those 2 riders. Definitely their Lance. It's Yanni Shaw maintaining a decent gap. Here comes Keogh Watson. Didn't start the first race. Actually had to push his bike off the grid.
Had a massive dummy spit, didn't he? Wasn't happy with what happened. Sat on the sideline there, thought about it, went back into the pits. I'm sure his father, Ken, would have given him not only an uppercut and a cut across the back of the head, but also some wise words of advice.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know what actually happened to that machine, because it looked like maybe a clutch issue or something.
And in the true spirit of the Watson family, ultimately what they would have said to Keogh, I'm sure, is get over it. It was one race that you're not going to have fond memories of, but don't dwell on it. Get out there and show us your best shot. Just like these 2 at the front. Hunter Ford trying to get around the outside there of Max Crocker. Unable to do it. Snaps to the inside now down in Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days. Can't do that as well. Line astern gets a run around the outside, up the inside now through the right-hander and out over bikehaggle.com.au drop over. It is Hunter Ford at his best.
That's a great manoeuvre there, was it? But here comes it, Max Crocker up the inside now through Dunlop.
Crocker comes back at him. Hunter Ford gets the inside run through the second half of Dunlop Sport Max. He's got the upper hand by 2 or 3 bike lengths. Both of them using the concrete on the outside, the extra part of the racing circuit. Up into bikebiz.com.au.
Here's another look at the very cheeky pass for the lead by Hunter Ford on the exit of Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days, turn 2. Ford made it look ever so easy to sneak past Croker, but with a championship on the line, both riders are certainly going for broke.
Here's the action of our race leader. We're only halfway through this one, Tim. Already we've seen multiple changes, not only to the race lead, but also for the minor placings. Your fastest lap goes to Hunter Ford, a 1:46.96.
That's pretty good on a little 300. Here's Ryan Sellen in front of Dan Thomas now. So Ryan's got the better of Dan going down the Swann Insurance main straight.
Not for long though. Dan Thomas snaps to the inside. Can he outbrake Ryan Sellen? He's got the line, but not the mumbo. Oh, well, you could see that Ryan Sellen had the bigger set of brakes there.
Yes, it's a bit of a gap there going into Races World Turn 1.
Out of turn 2 and 3, up over the top of bikehaggle.com.au. Dan Thomas tries to get to the inside. In the meantime, trying to get around the outside there is Kuhn. Kuhn gets the upper hand. He gets the inside run on Dan Thomas through Dunlop Sportsmac. Thomas, the tenacity of the youngster. He says, back off, kid. I want this position. In fact, I'm going to go one better. Up the inside of Ryan Sellen through bikebiz.com.au. Maintains a good race pace and race line.
Yes, we've lost one of the riders there. It's
yeah, that's the 222, I think you'll find, of Smith.
Here's one more look on the pass executed by Dan Thomas on Ryan Sellen at bikebiz.com.au, making it look ever so easy whilst handling the pressure of the battling pack around him.
Look at this, 3 and 4 wide, Sellen up the inside. Thomas relegated one further back. He's not going to give up. Round the outside he goes and maintains that race lead. Here comes Keogh Watson up the inside of Sellen and now moves up into 5th place.
Yeah, big move of Keogh. He's just come from nowhere, really, hasn't he? It's a great ride here, and be much happier with this performance compared to the first race.
Well, momentarily, an easy position for Dan Thomas leading this pack. It is now a quartet as they have dropped off a little bit behind them, Shani Pinfold. Oh, look at that. Keogh Watson forced Dan Thomas wide enough for both Selen and Keogh to get Kuhn to get up the inside. Thomas comes back again. What a great action-packed race this is. On the final lap, forget about our race leaders. They're miles in front. Look at this young Keogh Watson. What a great effort to come from the rear of the field to be battling it out for 5th place. In the meantime, through the final couple of turns, it looks like it's Hunter Ford. No, it's Croker. Or is it Hunter Ford? Yeah, Hunter Ford on the outside. Croker's a little bit further back. I think you'll find that is a slower rider that is being overtaken. Yes, indeed it is. Hunter Ford victorious ahead of Max Croker. Yanni Shaw a lonely ride in third. The battle of the century, in my opinion. Keogh Watson, Dan Thomas, Michael Kuhn, Ryan Selen and Shani Pinfold. They shared the limelight of this race too. Andrew Edzer in 9th, Trent Thompson P10.
Once I got a good lap in front of him, I don't know what happened, but he dropped off a bit and just kind of rode the last half of the race by myself. But we had a good battle at the start and it was fun.
So here's how they line up for the third and final race of round 5. The front row is once again occupied by Hunter Ford, Max Croker and Yanni Shaw, with row 2 filled out by Keogh Watson, Dan Thomas and Mitchell Kuhn. The third row is Ryan Selen, Shani Pinfold and Andrew Edzer, with Trent Thompson, Robert Penman and Brad Burt occupying row 4. Row 5 sees Greg Burt, Lionel Bennett and Andy Stagg. Then it's Scott Chapman, Zane Ford and Cameron Shaw on row 6. And the final row has Nicholas Cargo and Alex Smith.
In the starter's hands now, who's going to get the best of it? Watson gets a good one, so too does Selen. A little bit further back, but the 41 of Max Croker, he's going to swoop across the front of the field. Hunter Ford, followed by Dan Thomas, and I think you'll find around the outside there may have been Shani Pinfold.
Yeah, a great start there by Max Croker. Flew off the line. Let's see if anyone can stay with him. Look at the lead he's already got coming through Races World Turn 1 for the first time.
Yes, as they make their way through, it was actually Kuhn, I think, that got that good start, not Shani Penfold. Up into 4th place is Kuhn. So up over the top of bikehaggle.com.au for the first time. Down into Dunlop Sports Max. Your race leader is the 41 of Max Croker. Right behind him is Hunter Ford. Dan Thomas up into 3rd place, a great start for him. Yanni Shaw in 4th, Ryan Selen in 5th, and Kuhn in 6th place.
Yeah, Keogh Watson, a lot of work to do for him too now. He's lost a few positions there, but a good start by Dan Thomas sitting in 3rd position.
A great start for young Dan Thomas. One of the least experienced riders up against one of the most experienced riders in this class of racing, in terms of Yanni Shaw right behind him. And I say that because of the number of seasons Yanni Shaw's been involved in it compared to the number of seasons in this category that Dan Thomas has been in it.
He was riding the old FZ6 in the naked bike class for a couple of years.
He was, the bike that his brother, the late Lockie Thomas, rode so successfully.
Comes Hunter Ford. Look at the drag race down through the front. Swann Insurance Main Straight. Hunter Ford just up the inside, no questions asked.
Yeah, Max Croker there tried to throw his left elbow out and challenge. He gets a run up the inside now, down into Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days Turn 2. Can he pull that bike up in time and maintain a good track position? The answer is yes. Here comes Hunter Ford round the outside, almost gets his nose chopped off through Turn 3. Had to back off there as Max Croker had the racing line. Up over the top of bikehaggle.com.au. Hunter Ford down into Dunlop. He regains P1 at the moment through Turn 4 into Turn 5. Oh no, there's a rider down the 305 of Edzer. That's unfortunate. Doesn't look as though a major injury, but certainly winded to say the least, Tim.
Yeah, looks like he's fairly winded there, but
red flag. Red flag, sorry to interrupt you. See the red flag out there. See it there in the screen as well.
We can have a look at what happened to Andrew Edzer, courtesy of the onboard shots from the rear of Keogh Watson's KTM. Watson got slightly balked on the exit of Races World Turn 1, and Edzer came up way too close and had to take evasive action, unfortunately injuring himself in the process. The good news is Edzer is alert and okay, and is currently being treated by our fast-working medical crew here at the circuit.
In the starters' hands now for this, the third and final time today of the Shock Treatment 400 Super Sport race. It is the restart, and Yanni Shaw gets a good start, but so too does the 41 of Max Crocker. Crocker it is that gets a whole shot. Here comes Hunter Ford and Dan Thomas. Yanni Shaw followed by Keogh Watson. A case of deja vu. This is how they were in race 1, except they're a little bit more spread out this time, Tim.
Yeah, once again, Max Crocker on his 390cc single cylinder. Got a great start, with maybe a little bit more torque and to get off the line, but Dan Thomas, another great start for him too.
It certainly is. I mentioned race 1. What I meant was the first time of asking for this race number 3. Here comes Hunter Ford up the inside of Max Crocker. Takes up the running of the race halfway through lap number 1 into turn 5 he goes. Yanni Shaw right on to the heels there of Max Crocker. Keogh Watson, part and parcel of that. Right behind him, it's Dan Thomas, I beg your pardon, that he was on the heels of. Max Crocker trying to hold off the challenge of Ryan Selland.
Yes, Danny Thomas, another great start to the race. He's had a good performance in round 5 this
weekend. Yep. Yanni Shaw trying for the outside. Now the switch back through Freightlink's Transport Turn 9, trying to get the run. Takes it very wide. Slipstreaming down Iphone. Will he get the run through Matrice Dampers? Not at this stage. Line astern concentrating hard as Yanni Shaw on getting a good run out of these final 2 turns for the slipstreaming of Dan Thomas on his Yamaha. It's Yamaha R3 against Kawasaki Ninja 300. Down the Swann Insurance main straight they come. Yanni Shaw lining him up, as too is Max Crocker on our race leader, and he now relegates Hunter Ford to second.
Yeah, great move there, but using the slipstream perfectly was Max Crocker. But these two already, Lance, have broken away.
So too did Yanni Shaw, a case of deja vu. First and second against third and fourth. Doing exactly what these small ball motorcycles need to do, and that's maximise the opportunity of slipstreaming wherever possible.
Yes, it's a decent gap already, even though only the second lap of the race. So it's Hunter Ford and Max Crocker straighting the field.
Vastly different to what happened in the initial asking, although we only had 1 lap, didn't we? Here comes Keogh Watson trying to get up the inside of Ryan Selland, and they're under an immense amount of pressure being applied by Kuhn right behind them. Kuhn up the inside of Keogh Watson. Watson does not relinquish, though, does not back off, gets good drive out of Dunlop Sports Max, doesn't allow him the opportunity, though, in bikebiz.com.au to challenge Ryan Selland.
Yes, and Ryan's having a good... someone's off the track there. I couldn't quite see who it was.
I don't know whether that was Max Crocker. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see at the front of the pack. It looked like him, but it may well have been one of the slower riders or somebody who had dropped off the pace a little bit.
Yeah, it is Max Crocker.
Yep, I thought it was. Unfortunate for him.
And it was only a few corners back that he lost the lead to Hunter Ford. Here it is again on board Ford's Yamaha, and you can see that Ford carried a lot of speed through Races World Turn 1 to tuck underneath Crocker's KTM and slip past him into the race lead.
Here's that 3-way battle. Ryan Selland behind Keogh Watson, and Kuhn takes up there. Oh, look at that, 3 wide, rubbing elbows, swapping leather brands. Keogh Watson has dropped back 2 places. Kuhn has made up 2, and Ryan Selland stays the meat and the sandwich at this stage.
Yeah, big move by Kuhn there, wasn't it? Really putting the pressure on the 2 riders in front of him, Ryan Selland and Keogh Watson.
This battle here is for 5th, 6th and 7th placing. Here's a replay of it. Look at this Ryan Selland. He gets his knee out. He gets the bike squirrely. Keogh Watson, you can almost see the eyeballs popping out of the visor in front. Kuhn says, no, I'm up the inside. I've got it. This is the battle for the final placing on the podium. Unfortunately, that will be going nowhere today. Looks like superficial damage. Ryan Sellen in third place at the moment. Hunter Ford, Yanni Shaw, Keogh Watson and Ryan Sellen battling it out. Watson trying to get up the inside in bikebiz.com.au. Unable to do it. Out of there for the run around Corporate Hill. In the meantime, though, Hunter Ford negotiating Matrice Dampers, turn 11 and 12 for the final time. He'll take another victory, and look how casual he is about it, just sitting upright and almost coasting across the line. He'll take victory in no uncertain terms by quite a comfortable margin, 4 seconds ahead of Yanni Shaw. Keogh Watson, right on the line, takes the final podium position. Ryan Sellen in 4th, Shani Pinfold 5, Robert Penman in 6th, Trent Thompson, in 7th. P8 goes to Greg Burt, 9th to Brad Burt, Zane Ford rounding up your top 10.
Yeah, Max went out of that race, so I didn't really have to push. I just had to finish the race. Yanni was too far behind, trying to give me any run at the end of the race, but yeah, just finished the race, rode around, kept it upright, and it was good.
Max Croker's retirement in the last race, along with Hunter Ford's clean sweep of wins, has blown the championship wide open heading into the final round. Ford has cut Croker's lead in half to bring down the gap to 37 points. Yanni Shaw is still mathematically a chance of winning, but would need both Croker and Ford to falter. Well, we still have more racing to come on the other side of this break as the Racers World Pro Twins, Naked Bikes and Super Twin 700s come out to play. Welcome back to Sydney Motorsport Park as we continue our Round 5 coverage of the Swann Super Series under dark and rather murky skies. One of the key integral parts of riding a motorcycle is of course rider apparel, and bikebiz.com.au has long been the go to people when it comes to rider safety. And with the warm weather upon the horizon, the importance to keep your body safe as well as comfortable is paramount with their range of Alpine Star jackets.
Hi, I'm Dan from Bike Biz in Granville. I'm the spare parts accessories manager. Obviously it is the season, we're going to get some warm weather coming through, so a nice vented Alpine Star summer jacket. Look, it's super light, obviously sitting in traffic in Sydney you're not going to get hot in it. It's got all the armour, all the features, but breathability is the main point here. I think just the fact that they are so light, you can leave work, throw on a t-shirt, throw on the jacket, be protected but be very comfortable on the bike. I mean, they're very, very cheap, they're $279.95 and at that price you get a lot of features.
What do you do if you want to get one?
Either at www.bikebiz.com.au or at 274 Parramatta Road in Granville or 7 Great Western Highway in Parramatta.
We now move on to our next class of racing, and that is the Racers World Pro Twins Naked Bikes and Super Twin 700s. And of course, Racers World are the only Australian permitting and licensing body that does both 2- and 4-wheel motorsport. Here are the standings heading into round 5, and Heath Griffin continues to lead the overall standings, 38 points ahead of Naked Bike leader Adrian Pierpoint in second place. Ben O'Connor sits close behind in third, Brendan Watson fourth, and Grant Barrett-Thompson rounding out the top 5 in fifth place. With our competitors now out on the track in readiness for race 1, there's a huge threat of rain currently lingering around Sydney Motorsport Park, so it'll be quite interesting to see who has chosen slick or wet tyres for this opening race. So here's the grid for race 1. Heath Griffin will lead the field away from pole position, with Con Kokoris and Ben O'Connor joining him on the front row. On the second row we have Alex Mahajevic, the evergreen Adrian Pierpoint and Luke Ruckley. Row 3 is filled out by Adam Hend, Nick Marsh and David Broderick, with Brendan Watson, Ben DeBiddeth and Greg Mulligan occupying row 4. Row 5 has Niall Doherty, Ian Bruce and Kevin Corcoran, and the 6th row is occupied by Brian Bolster, Aaron Breesy and Grant Barrett-Thompson, with Aaron Smith starting from the 19th and final position.
It's part and parcel of the Swann Super Series of 2017. Race number 1 is underway, and probably getting the best of the start was Con Kokoris on the 404. But don't discount the rider on machine number 3, Heath Griffin. He was our pole sitter, but you've got to say, Tim, he certainly missed the start. Trying to get around the outside, he does, as he heads down into turn number 2. The Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days turn for the first time. Riders jostling for position, everybody getting through nice and safely.
Yeah, Heath Griffin has been the dominating factor of this class all year, really, hasn't he? And you can see by the points, the score. But Concocaris is having a big look up the inside, coming through. It's a turn 4 into Dunlop Sportsmax turn 4.
I think that was Ben O'Connor had to sit himself upright as he went through Dunlop and over through into turn number 5. Side by side, our front two key protagonists in 2017, still doing it, condition normal in round number 5 of 6.
Yeah, Ben O'Connor's doing a great job there. 2 lands with the smaller capacity machine, the 675 Triumph, against the big 1000cc V4s.
Out of the back of Corporate Hill through bikebiz.com downhill section into Freightlinks Transport turn 9 for the first time, and it is the number 3 of Heath Griffin, our pole sitter, who missed the hole shot. The rider that got it right behind him, Concocaris, third fastest in qualifying and third on the track at the moment, Ben O'Connor. So it's a pair of Ducatis leading the Triumph, followed then by the Aprilia, Tuano of Adrian Pierpoint, who certainly is no slouch on board that Aprilia.
He has been really the premier rider in the naked bike class, hasn't he, for quite a number of years now. But Brendan Watson's not too far behind him, so it's you never know what happens.
Well, at the end of the opening lap, it's Heath Griffin, Concocaris, Ben O'Connor, Adrian Pierpoint, Alex Mahajevic, Ben Watson rounding up the top 6. Then we have Marsh, Hend, Breeze, Dabidoff, Ruckley, Bolster, Broderick, Doherty, Barrett, Thompson, Smith, Corcoran, Mulligan and Bruce. They are your 19 competitors in this, the opening race of round 5 of the Swann Super Series. It is the Racers World FX Pro Twins, Naked Bikes and Super Twin 700s.
Let's take this opportunity to look back at the race start from Heath Griffin's perspective. He had an uncharacteristically sluggish start, which allowed Kokoris to jump ahead initially, but quickly gathered momentum and roared around the outside of his fellow Ducati rider as they exited Racers World Turn 1.
Those 1200cc Ducatis very, very quickly, but almost double the capacity there, Lance.
It is almost double the capacity as they head down through Freightlinks Transport turn number 9. You'll see the difference here as they accelerate down the back straight, the Ipone Oils back straight into Matrice Dampers, the final couple of turns. On board machine number 85 there, Brendan Watson, the ProWorks Racing Yamaha FZ1. He's doing a great job after a comeback of a number of years being out of the sport, Tim.
Yeah, he has some tail. It's about 5 or 6 years since we've seen Brendan out here on the race. But look at Kokoris now up the inside. Has he got the speed going through turn 1? Through Racers World turn 1 there, Lance, he has too.
Yeah, Kokoris takes up the running, but Griffin gets good drive out of turn 1 down towards turn 2, the Sydney Motorsport Park ride days, unable to go on with it. In the meantime, back in third place, Ben O'Connor. He's ready to pounce. The agility of that smaller bore capacity bike comes to its fore through the corners, but unfortunately under acceleration he drops off the pace. So up over the top of bikehaggle.com.au, drop off and down into Dunlop Sportsmax. This is lap 3 of 6.
Oh, here comes Ben O'Connor there, Lance. It's a bit balked going through there, turn 4. But he's going very, very well now, Ben O'Connor, on the smaller machine.
Yeah, he's got the better now of the number 3 of Heath Griffin. Kokoris, it's all to his advantage at the moment. He's opened up rather a large gap, Tim, halfway through this one as they head out of bikebiz.com.au downhill section in towards Freightlinks Transport. Still back there in fourth place is Adrian Pierpoint, although Brendan Watson is now mounting a severe challenge as they head into the second half of this race.
Yeah, maybe. I think it looks like maybe Heath Griffin had a bit of an issue coming through the back part of the circuit there, Lance, because he has dropped off the pace quite considerably.
Mahaljevic and Marsh battling it out. Marsh on board machine number 15, both Formula 1 machines. Mahaljevic trying to get the better of him. In the meantime, the superior power of Heath Griffin's machine, the Ducati Panigale, much better down the main straight than that of Ben O'Connor.
That being said, that raw speed wasn't enough to fend off Concocaris, who managed to slipstream past down the Swann Insurance main straight and into Racers World Turn 1 and claim the lead a lap ago.
It is the 404 of Concocaris
the tick signs, Ducati 12.99 through turn 9. Freightlink's Transport for the run down the back straight. Ipan Oil's back straight for the last time. He is a clear-cut leader. 3 seconds was the gap last time over the strike line, and he's doing a great job to thread the needle around this 3.93 kilometre Wayne Gardner Grand Prix circuit. Out of the final turn, Matrice Dampers for the run down to the checkered flag. Your race 1 winner of 17 scheduled events here at Sydney Motorsport Park, and it is the number 404 of Concourse. A good battle here. Look at Adrian Pierpoint trying to get up the inside. He can't do it. Griffin, O'Connor, Pierpoint in that order for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, but a spectacular finish to a great opening race. Brendan Watson, Nick Marsh, Alex Mahajevic, Adam Hend, Aaron Smith and Luke Ruckley rounding up your top 10 on the Aprilia RSV4.
No, nothing better actually. The weather was with our side too, even though that we were getting some drops on the windscreen. Couldn't be better.
And Concourse has every reason to be happy. He starts from the front row in race 2 with Heath Griffin and Ben O'Connor sharing the front row duties. Adrian Pierpoint will be joined on row 2 by Brendan Watson and Nick Marsh. On rows 3 and 4, we have Alex Mahajevic, Adam Hend, Aaron Smith, Luke Ruckley, Aaron Breesy and Grant Barrett-Thompson. Row 5 has Brian Bolster, David Broderick and Niall Doherty, with row 6 occupied by Greg Mulligan, Kevin Corcoran and Ian Bruce. Ben de Biddulph completes the field in 19th position. In the starter's hands and away already, getting the best of the start, I think you'll find there, Tim, was Heath Griffin.
Yeah, looked like he got a great start off the line with the front wheel. It's halfway down the straight in the air, but looks like Kokoris has got the better of him into races world turn 1.
Yeah, got a good drive round the outside and heads the field out of turn number 2. Of course, that is the Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days turns 2 and 3, but they're negotiating now in preparation for the run over bikehaggle.com.au drop-off and into Dunlop Sports Max for the first time. This is a 6-lap journey, and it is the 404 of Concourse, our pole sitter, courtesy of victory in race number 1, Tim.
Yeah, looks like Brendan Watson and Adrian Pierpoint having a good battle for the naked bike honours.
Riders streaming through turn number 6, bikebiz.com.au, run around Corporate Hill, the downhill section that leads into this tricky turn 9, Tim, Freightlink's Transport. A bit of a bump. If you don't get the line correct, it can certainly run you a little bit wide and hamper or hinder, if you like, your run down Ipan Oil's back straight.
Yeah, a bit off camber as well, that turn there, but a good battle out the front at the moment with Heath Griffin and Concourse.
Yes, Concourse doing a good job out in front at the moment, but Heath Griffin, a very determined rider. You can see making sure that he keeps as close as possible to being directly behind Concourse, getting the slipstream down the Swann Insurance main straight. It pays dividends for him too, Tim. Up the inside he goes, gets a good drive, keeping that tighter line. Round the outside though, Kokoris tries as hard as he possibly can. Has to back off though, as Tim Griffith takes up Heath Griffith, I beg your pardon, takes up the running. Heath Griffin, I will get it right in a minute. Here's a replay of that manoeuvre from Heath Griffin up the inside of Concourse out of Races World. Manages to keep the bike upright enough to be able to force Kokoris to take a wider entrance and ultimately exit out of turn 2. Talking about experience, on board that Aprilia Tuono, bike that is nurtured over the years, learnt to love and also sometimes hate.
It's got decent sized fairing for a naked bike though, hasn't it?
Certainly has. Here we go with Kokoris lining up for a manoeuvre at the end of the Swann Insurance main straight. Can't do it though. Heath Griffin covers his line well. Can he pull that bike across far enough? He doesn't need to worry about it. Look at the superior speed that he had. Under brakes though, Kokoris making up a lot of ground.
Yeah, Kokoris faster that time around, Lance. A 37.6 and a 37.8 for Griffin. So both about a second faster than the riders behind them.
Adrian Pierpoint in the meantime under a lot of pressure now from Brendan Watson on board machine number 85. So we have two-way battles, one of them being for the ultimate prize, and that's the top run of the podium.
Yes, two Ducatis there. Here comes Con Kokoris now up the inside once again of Heath Griffin.
That second two-way battle for the final podium position. And the first of the naked bikes too, isn't it?
Yes, it is that first of the naked bikes of the Adrian Pierpoint leading that championship at the moment.
Down the iPone oils, back straight on lap 4 of 6. You can see the different riding styles there. Brendan Watson seems to be a little bit more in tune with the bike today than what Adrian Pierpoint does. Adrian seems to be a little bit, shall we say, looser on board the Aprilia than what he normally is. Seems to be climbing all over that Aprilia at the moment. And Con Kokoris was certainly climbing all over the rear tail of Heath Griffin, finally working his way through to the lead down at bikebiz.com.au 1 lap ago. Race leaders in the meantime negotiating some of the slower traffic. That was Bruce on 187, a Formula 2 rider who did the right thing, got out of the road. Will he do the same here? Yes, he does. Maintains his racing line on the outside. Well done to him. Here comes Griffin trying to get up the inside of Kokoris. Down into turn 9, the Freight Links Transport turn 9. Now the run down iPone oils back straight for the final time. Griffin lining him up, trying to get the inside. Remembering Kokoris did this last time around. Left his best to the last couple of laps and didn't succumb to any challenge late in the race. It looks like it's going to be a case of deja vu. Con Kokoris heads afield down the main straight, the Swann Insurance main straight for the last time. He'll get the checkered flag. Will it be for 2 from 2, or will Griffin get him up the inside? He won't. 0.127 seconds officially separating first and second. Adrian Pierpoint finishes in third, and Brendan Watson a very creditable fourth. Nick Marsh 5, P6 goes to Ben O'Connor, Aaron Breesy in 7th, Aaron Smith, Grant Barrett-Thompson and Adam Henn round up the top 10.
The guy, we came across a guy that we lapped, and I was expecting him from somewhere, trying to close lines, this and that. I knew that he was back there.
Here are the highlights of race 3, where Con Kokoris attempted to make it a clean sweep. He got away to a perfect start, clearing out to take charge of the race, whilst Griffin again struggled to put the power down as the race got underway. But the real surprise was Adrian Pierpoint, who catapulted himself up into second position by the time they reached Dunlop Sportsmax turns 4 and 5. Pierpoint would quickly challenge Kokoris for the race lead, and by the time they negotiated Dunlop Sportsmax on lap 2, the Aprilia rider jumped at the chance and passed the Ducati. It would be the first of many race lead changes between the pair, and Pierpoint was not afraid to put it all on the line as the race wore on. Whilst behind them, Griffin was duking it out for third place with Brendan Watson, Nick Marsh and Brendan O'Connor. Back at the front, Kokoris finally managed to clear away ahead of Pierpoint and went on to take the race win. That was until post-race he was excluded by race officials for a technical infringement, handing the win to the Aprilia-mounted Pierpoint, with Heath Griffin moving up into second and fending off Brendan Watson, who finished third. So, as we take a look at the overall standings after 5 rounds, the lead that Heath Griffin had over his rivals has now shrunk to just 1 point over the now second place Grant Barrett-Thompson. Adrian Pierpoint, who remains the leading naked bike rider, is still in championship contention in third, and like all of the other classes, there are double points on offer in the final round. We still have more racing to come from Sydney Motorsport Park with the Freight Links Transport Formula Oz class on the other side of this break. Thanks for joining us once again at Sydney Motorsport Park for our coverage of Round 5 of the Swann Super Series. We now move on to one of the most popular categories on the series schedule, and that is the Freight Links Transport Formula Oz class for B, C and D grade riders. This is the class where anything goes, and there is a wide variety of machinery with various engine capacities that makes this class accessible to anyone that wants to go racing. So here are the points coming into this weekend. Firstly, in the B-grade standings, Brett Kitchen continues to sit atop the ladder by 32 points over the Yamaha of Carlos Rendon, with Dane Purcell 18 points further back in third place. In the Formula Oz C-grade category, Mark Nassif is hoping to further extend his commanding lead aboard his Kawasaki. Tom Taparis and Jean-Gabriel Lane currently sit second and third respectively, but will not be competing this weekend. And in Formula Oz, the D-grade category sees Will Stewart continuing to maintain his lead over Shane Ryan, with the gap now 28 points. Honda rider Josh Kavanagh comes into this weekend sitting in third. Riders are now on the track for their first race of the weekend, and like the opening race of the Pro Twins and Naked Bikes, the weather remains very dark and dirty, and the rain clouds loom over Sydney Motorsport Park. So with no further ado, here's the grid. Andrew Thompson will start this race from pole position, with Michael Witchard and Carlos Rendon joining him on the front row. Row 2 is occupied by Somfort Rosner, Brett Kitchen and Luke Condren. Row 3 has Mario Gonzalez, Harry Boyajian and Shane Ryan, whilst the next row is filled out by Mark Nassif, Emmanuel Nataris and Daniel Ayish. Andy Fisher, Reece Belling and Will Stewart occupy row 5, with Kevin Peacock, Dane Purcell and Philip Burke completing row 6.
Big field for the Formula Oz at this meeting, and it's a great start there by Andrew Thompson. He's been one of the front runners all year in the Formula Oz class.
He is, as Carlos Rendon, I think, got the early hole shot at that stage and heads the field down out of turn number 1, Races World, towards Sydney Motorsport Park ride days. Look at the ground made up there by one of the riders, about mid-pack. He swooped on the field and made up a good 4 places, Tim. What a fantastic effort.
It looked like he was going to outbreak himself there too, Lance, coming into Sydney Motorsport Park ride days. Very, very quick into that turn.
I think you'll find in third place there, unmistakable livery, the day glow yellow of Brett Kitchen. He's been bitching on that BMW all year long, and nothing short of spectacular here in the early stages. But it's all Carlos Rendon at the moment that leads. Thompson on board machine number 12 in second, Kitchen on the 55 in third.
Yeah, you can see it. Carlos Rendon, we've seen how good he goes here at Sydney Motorsport Park. It's like he's a specialist at this track.
Andrew Thompson got out of the saddle as he exited the back of Corporate Hill and the run around bikebiz.com.au downhill section. Leading into turn 9, Freightlix Transport, he managed to get it all together for the run down Ione Oils back straight. There he is with Brett Kitchen right behind him.
Yeah, Brett Kitchen's moved up in the field as well. It's on their BMWs. It's Rendon and Kitchen, so they're going great guns at the moment.
Mario Gonzalez, good to see him back on the saddle of a motorcycle as well. On board machine number 9, gets a run down the inside and makes his way almost up to second. Got his nose chopped off there by the number 12 of Andrew Thompson, who's still up there in second place. Third now is being held by Mario Gonzalez. Brett Kitchen in 4th place. 5th place, I think, is Michael Witchard. He's come up into the fray as well.
Yeah, Michael Witchard had a great move. A great move there, Michael Witchard, coming into turn 1 of the Races World, turn 1 into Sydney Motorsport Park. He has definitely moved up further in the field.
He's doing a great job as he makes his way through the field, and look at them all streaming through Dunlop Sportsmax, turns 4 and 5. Trying to get that run up over the top of bikebiz.com.au. Carlos Rendon now under an immense amount of pressure from Andrew Thompson. Brett Kitchen not that far behind. He's separated just in front of him by Mario Gonzalez, who's done a great job to make his way up into 3rd placing, as we mentioned before. Back there in 5th is Michael Witchard. They're your top 5 runners. A little bit of a gap back to 6th. A 3-way battle for 6th, 7th and 8th placing.
Oh, here comes Andrew Thompson up the inside of Rendon there, around the outside. Really big move there by Andrew Thompson.
Looks like he's got a good balance of that bike, hasn't he? He did a great job to go up the inside in a very fast entrance. Here's a replay of them coming out of turn 9, and for the run down Ione Oils back straight, you can see him duck up the inside of Carlos Rendon. Rendon, I think, was a little bit surprised by that, backed off, sat the bike upright, and to his credit, Andrew Thompson continued on his winning way, or his leading way, I should say, as the number 80 of Michael Witchard gets up the inside of Rendon, only momentarily though. He runs it wide on the exit of bikebiz.com.au. And Rendon it is. It's up into third placing again now. Our race leader, though, under a lot of pressure from Mario Gonzalez. He certainly hasn't lost any of his racecraft, has he?
No, it's considering like the injuries he's endured recently. It's a great ride.
This battle for third and fourth place between Carlos Rendon and Michael Witchard is thrilling the crowd here at Sydney Motorsport Park as they head out of Matrice Dampers for the run down the Swann Insurance Main Straight. They'll commence their penultimate lap as our race leader is now under pressure. Carlos Rendon tries to get up the inside, can't do it though. Andrew Thompson it is that still leads as they head out of Races World, and for the run down into Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days, side by side up the inside for third and fourth place. I think you'll find that Witchard has got the upper hand of Rendon. Let's have a look at a replay of this. He just got the better drive out of Races World, and the run down that shortish straight, heading into one of the slowest corners at Sydney Motorsport Park, and managed to get the upper hand under brakes and do a great job to relegate Rendon one further back. As our race leaders now head out on their final lap, it is in front. Andrew Thompson ahead of Mario Gonzalez. Gonzalez gets good drive out of Races World for the run down into Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days. Oh, he's gone ahead. And he's taken behind, or with him I should say. Is that Hasler that's come up, or is that Rendon? No. It would have been the number 80, I think, of Witchard in third place, yes.
I think it was Michael Witchard there. Yes, definitely was balked going into Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days, but it looks like...
our race leader has got a problem as well. He's dropped back off the pace. He's sat upright, put his hand up in the air. Oh, we've got two or three. It looks like there's some problems with oil on the circuit or something on the circuit, maybe, that is causing... Maybe it's a little bit of rain that's started to come down as well, Tim. Riders are slowing down. Red flag, that's why.
Well, with the red flag coming out on what was to be the final lap, the race has been completed. And because of this, Andrew Thompson will be awarded the race win ahead of Mario Gonzalez and Michael Witchard. Dean Hasler finished in fourth ahead of Carlos Rendon, Somford Rosner, Brett Kitchen, Rhys Belling and Luke Condren completing the top 10.
Just very lucky, I guess. Yeah, it was loose. For a minute there, I just thought the rear tyre was flat. That's how bad it was. The back was just so loose, really loose. Then, the yellow flag come out and the red flag come out. I thought, yep, you beauty.
Well, after the chaotic end of race 1, many of the riders got their bikes ready in time for race 2. And here are the highlights for that race. Gonzalez and Witchard got fairly even starts as the lights went out, but it was Dean Hasler on board his BMW that swooped around the outside of them and took the lead going through Races World Turn 1. Not making it the best of starts was Brett Kitchen aboard his accountable IT BMW, and he had to fight his way through from 5th place to get within touch of the race leaders. Hasler would remain the race leader until half race distance when Gonzalez slipstreamed past the BMW on the Swann Insurance Main Straight to take the lead. He then lost second position to Witchard at Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days Turn 2 on lap 4, with the latter enjoying his change of machinery for this weekend. Gonzalez had opened up a gap and was on his way to victory until he fell off at bikebiz.com.au on the final lap. All this happened whilst Kitchen charged his way into the lead before Witchard snatched it back with a few corners remaining and took the race win from the BMWs of Kitchen and Hasler. So here's the grid for the final race of the round. The front row consists of Witchard, Kitchener and Hasler, with row 2 occupied by Harry Boyajian, Somfort Rosner and David Birch. The next row consists of Dane Purcell, Rhys Belling and Shane Ryan, whilst row 4 has Luke Condren, Carlos Rendon and race 1 winner Andrew Thompson on it. Row 5 has Josh Kavanagh, Daniel Ayesh and Aaron Smith, and row 6 features Andy Fisher, Will Stewart and Stephen Rossini.
In the starters' hands now, away they go. Hasler gets a good one. Behind them there on the 61, I think you'll find was Belling. He did a good job as well, but none better than Witchard. Round the outside, takes up the whole shot and leads them down towards turn 2. Of course, the Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days turn 2.
Yeah, Dane Purcell's had a good start too, Lance. He's moved up a couple of positions straight away, so He's on the blue-livered Yamaha there as they go through Races World Turn 1 for the first time.
Yeah, he's been a little bit out of the limelight, Dane Purcell. He's normally at the front of the pack with his Freight-Line Transport Formula Oz category. Today's not been the best day for him, perhaps being the adverse conditions that everybody has had to contend with. But at the moment, it's Hasler ahead of, was that the 36 of Rendon up into second place, I think you'll find. No, he's in third place, I beg your pardon. It is the 80 of Witchard in second place.
Yeah, the winner of race number 2, Witchard there, but good start by all those riders in the front of the pack.
Yes, it was Michael Witchard, Brett Kitchen and Dean Hasler. Oh, look at that one. Looks like the 36. Yeah, it was the 36 of Rendon, wasn't it?
Yeah, Carlos Rendon run a little bit wide there, which allowed Witchard to get past.
Coming through the back of the pack, the 61 of Reese Belling got a very poor start. There he is on screen at the moment. David Birch just ahead of him by the looks of it. Out of turns 11 and 12, the Matrice Dampers double apex final corner, leading onto the Swann Insurance main straight. At the end of lap 1, it is Dean Hasler, Carlos Rendon, Birch, Purcell, Boyajian, Kitchen, Rosner, Belling, Thompson, Ryan, Kavanagh. Rounding up your top 12 is Condren.
Yeah, Brett Kitchen didn't get the start that he was looking for, I don't think. He's just been overtaken once again by it. Who was that? Boyajian's just got the better of him, so yeah. It's not the best of starts for Brett Kitchen.
Well, whilst it may not have been the best of starts for the BMW rider, it certainly was for Michael Witchard as we take a look again at the race start. Despite the best efforts of the fast startings Hasler, Witchard's newfound confidence aboard the Yamaha helped propel him into the lead by the time they reached turn 1.
Hasler and Rendon still battling it out for first and second. Harry Boyajian has opened up a little bit of a gap on this bunch, consolidating his claim for fourth place.
Yeah, Kitchen's just got the better of Belling, and looks like he's got the better of Rosner in 2 corners there, so a good move there by Brett Kitchen.
In the meantime, Hasler retains the lead or gets it back off Rendon. I'm sure Rendon was in front of him there momentarily, but as you can see at the end of Ipone Oils and entering into Matrice Dampers, it is Dean Hasler on board that BMW. What a great piece of livery it is too. I'm impressed with that number. It stands out very well. The 36 of Carlos Rendon in second place.
There's the @1 racing team. It's pretty much every class they're racing in this weekend. So 36-1 now for Hasler, so he's retained the fastest lap of the race.
Yes, the Yamaha R1, the stay upright Yamaha R1 of Carlos Rendon, trying hard against Dean Hasler. They have a fairly large lead now over 2 riders, being Michael Witchard and Rosner.
Brett Kitchen running a little bit wide there through Races World Turn 1, lost a position, so it's a bit of work to do for him. So he's working up to get to the podium.
Kitchen trying hard to get up now onto the back of Dane Purcell. Harry Boyajian open up a bit of a gap in front of them.
Yeah, great ride by Boyajian.
This is the final lap up over into bikebiz.com.au. This is a minor placing battle, as opposed to this one coming down into turn 9 for the final time. It is Hasler ahead of Rendon. It looks like it's Hasler's to lose from here. Rendon's got nothing to lose. He'll throw out a last challenge. It may seem like a fair distance between him and Hasler in front at the moment as they head out of Matrice Dampers, but guarantee Carlos Rendon will try as hard as he possibly can.
Yeah, it looks like Hasler's got this one in the bag. We saw the top speed of that BMW being a little bit quicker than the Yamaha when takes the checkered flag.
Well, the results of the Freightlings Formula Oz race number 3. Dean Hasler victorious ahead of Carlos Rendon. Michael Witchard rounding up your top 3. Somfort Rosner, Andrew Thompson, Harry Boyajian, Dane Purcell, Reese Belling, Brett Kitchen and David Birch, all thrilling the crowd with a close encounter.
Yeah, good. It was a dry track that time, so I was happy. So, yeah, as long as the rain's not around, I'm sweet.
Well, with one round to go, let's have a look at the points. And we have a new championship leader in the Formula Oz B grade category. Harry Boyajian is now top of the pops, ahead of former leader Brett Kitchen, with the gap now 41 points. Carlos Rendon has dropped to third in the standings. Meanwhile, in the C grade standings, Mark Nassif cannot be beaten. His points haul today means he's the champion and can now go into the final round with no pressure. And in the D grade standings, the fight for the top honours between Will Stewart and Shane Ryan will go right down to the wire with only 15 points between them. Josh Kavanagh remains in third. Well, folks, that concludes all of the action from round 5 of the Swann Super Series from Sydney Motorsport Park. We have one more round to go right here at the Western Sydney venue, and we hope you can join us again soon as we crown our 2017 champions.